Hi, welcome to Awakening Soul Truth. I'm Robbie, and this is my friend Allison. And have you ever thought about if you're connected to your past, you are stuck in prison?
Mhm. That's for sure. The past really keeps us locked into creating repeating patterns, creating the same thing over and over again. And I'm going to go as far as to say is there is dark energy on the planet helping you to stay stuck in the past and repeat old patterns over and over and over and over and over and over again. So much so that we believe it to be the only way in our world.
Well, and we think that it's such a continuous cycle because we get stuck in this loop that there's no way out.
Right. It is amazing to me how effective we've built it or institutionalized it in our culture, especially like the school system, um, going over and reviewing wars. Children do not need to be reviewing wars. We do not need to spend our time reviewing war.
And not only that, I don't know if you by chance saw the latest episode from Next Level Soul, where he had Billy Carson on as a guest. And they go from all kinds of topics. And it's things that I've always known or heard about over the course of years.
Hmm.
Nothing you would ever get in school, obviously. And so I was geeking out on it. And there was one point where the interviewer said, my child came to me and said, Dad, look at this picture of the classroom from 1910 and compare it to the classroom of today. And it's almost an exact duplicate of the way the classroom is set up.
Yeah.
It hasn't shifted, it hasn't changed at all. But think about how much everything else has changed since 1910.
Yeah.
But now
And
the education system,
right. And they're actually teaching some of the things they taught us, and that's evolved. The little punt square of genetics, this is how genetics work. No, that is not how the genetics works anymore. They know that your current experience, your current life experiences influences your gene expression,
mhm.
right? Oh my gosh, so many things have changed. But at the end of the day, we cycle in our heads. We ruminate. We fester. We want things to be different. We are literally locked in the past.
Yeah.
I had a recent healing I did on New York City on the Twin Towers. My cousin witnessed the 9/11 events. She was in Building 7 observing. They weren't letting them out of the buildings because the Twin Towers were still standing and there was so much debris falling. And she was in an all glass ground floor witnessing this entire experience. And she witnessed people dying, that they were taking their own life. They were jumping out of the buildings before the buildings actually collapsed. And she saw and envisioned these beautiful facial expressions as people were literally jumping to their death. And the most beautiful thing to her was the peace that she noticed on their faces. And they had surrendered to their own heart, to their own light. And she was in the middle of experiencing the physical uh, pain and the suffering and the explosion and all of that. And it really gave her some solace as she worked through her trauma from that day, that those people she knew and completely understood their peace in their face.
I actually think that could help anyone hearing this.
Yeah.
Because think about how, I mean, I remember I was a flight attendant at the time it happened, and I was reviewing the 24-hour news that was, again, we're talking about repeating, they were repeating the same film footage over and over again and having different commentators talk about it. And so there were probably millions of people who witnessed it, maybe not live like she did in person, but
But
over the
dude,
screen. And
absolutely.
so I love that she had such a close experience with it and can share that, because any witness to that from the screen is just thinking it's horrific.
Yeah. And you said something really important. They replayed those pictures and those images for weeks.
Not
For
only that, not only that, but maintaining myself as a flight attendant for years after that. I refused to turn on the TV. Not that I didn't even have a TV, but if I was traveling and I was around a TV, I refused to turn it on September 11th, because I knew no matter what I would be watching, it was going to start showing the same footage all over again. And I didn't want to relive that trauma. I didn't want to keep putting those impressions in my mind over and over again. And yes, I know we should never forget, because there's things to learn from the past, and we want to remember those that are fallen, those that were lost. However, we don't need that trauma to repeat and cycle over every year of that anniversary date.
right. And I think we didn't realize how traumatizing that was, and to have the collective to come together. So it's like pulling mass consciousness together and traumatizing everyone. Do we need to do that? Do we need to have a collective injury, a trauma so great that it keeps us locked in the past? And is that intentional? And can we love the people that were lost that day from a different vantage point? Can we love them from the vantage point of, you are with the divine now? You are free. You are in a place of celebration, of ease, of joy.
Yeah.
Even though there was tragedy, when people cross over, and I witness it every day in my life, they are in a place of peace. They are in a place of allowing love to guide them through whatever it is they need to heal. They use the love as their anchor and as their technique for understanding life. Kind of the bigger point in understanding that when we have a collective death and we focus, or a collective trauma, and we really lock into that pain and that what tragedy and what horror, and focus on that piece instead of, wow, people ascended, people moved into their light. We
Yeah.
can use this as a remembrance of, they are at peace. Can we also be at peace? Can we step into our soul self? And that's what we think this ascension process is about. Stepping into the soul, stepping into love, and finding the now moment and a place of, oh, we're not stuck in the past.
Ann Tucker has been, she's a trans channeler who channels the angels. And she's been talking about this exact thing. And I love it because it's so yogic, because yoga is all about being the inner witness. And I think we spoke about this last week too, where you can be the observer behind everything that's occurring, even the repeated patterns of your mind, and noticing when you're repeating patterns in life. But she so eloquently states how this ascension is moving us into a merger with the soul, where the ego starts to fall away. And
Yeah.
I loved also her message on saying, be prepared, because we will be feeling, sensing, and potentially even seeing the angels very soon.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
and it's also very similar to what some other people are saying about disclosure, and with other beings, that we may be seeing other beings. She specifically talks about the angels, but there's a lot of other people saying, well, no, we're actually going to be seeing other extraterrestrial beings too. They've always been here. It's just that veil is getting thinner and thinner, and they're going to be able to um, have this exchange with us very soon.
It's because our vibration is rising. Our vibration is rising so that we can see them. This like concept, you just said it about the veil dissolving and becoming thinner and thinner. It's becoming thinner and thinner because we're no longer empowering it. We're no longer believing in being stuck in the past. We're moving into the soul's reality.
Yeah.
And so you will be able to see angels, and you will be able to have intuition and all of these extra sensory stuff. We'll be able to talk in our heads, right? Through what's that called with the third eye when you,
The telepathy?
yeah, that thing. The telepathy part is going to increase, and I think people are kind of wigging out a little bit right now. They're like, whoa, like they're experiencing seeing things like ghosts or angels, or they're having more sudden knowings.
Yeah.
And, this is just your soul's language. You're going to be fine. It's built in. We just haven't trusted it. Also, was how do we get out of the past? And one of the best ways to heal your past is to, when you notice that you're ruminating there, when you're going over all the things that you want to change about the past, but you can't, right? There's that. It's to focus on gratitude. Have gratitude for what you did accomplish, what you did do. Have gratitude for who you are now. Gratitude for your ability to be conscious now.
So I had something happen to me, and it happened this week, where I'm really excited about creating this mini series. And this mini series is based on a book of Yogananda's called The Yoga of Jesus. The book is based on Paramahansa Yogananda, who was one of the pioneers who brought yoga to the West. And his whole mission was to not only teach yoga, primarily meditation, for self-realization, but for that bridge to occur between Hinduism and Christianity.
Mm.
And anyway, his book on the yoga of Jesus is very much through the yogic lens and seeing it from a different perspective and a different interpretation than the way maybe church has presented it. Posted something that was telling a little bit of my, personal story, that I grew up a minister's daughter, that I was also a seeker, and that I was told not to ask questions, and how I never really resonated with it, especially the way the church would never let a woman be um, part of the authority or part of the leadership of this particular denomination, and how Jesus honored and respected and treated women as equals. So it never made sense to me. And then I went on to describe how I'd studied religious studies in college, and how I've traveled the world, and how I've done a lot of research with different spiritualities and different religions, and how basically I wanted to share these teachings to kind of open people up. And it was way more than that. But I posted this, and within minutes, I started feeling like out of nowhere some anxiety about the post, because it went from my Instagram to my Facebook personal account instead of my business account. And my personal account, I'm connected to a lot of, not a lot, but a handful of people from my father's church.
Oh my.
And I guess 15 to 30 minutes later, I was back online, and there were a lot of people showing interest in this.
Yeah.
But then I noticed it had been shared by a person who didn't like it, didn't comment on it. She just immediately shared it. And it was a person from my father's congregation who is steeped in the dogma of what I have trying to decondition myself from my entire adulthood.
Mhm.
And I felt in that moment there was some judgment and malice on the sharing of that post. And I don't know that because I didn't speak to her. But I also know this woman's connected to everybody in the congregation, including a couple family members who purposely are not online with me because they know how I feel and they know how I live, and they're in disagreement with that. And they don't want to see my posts like that, which are very, very rare and few and far between.
Right.
So here she did posting it, and now it's going to go towards a couple family members that I didn't want to see it, much less the other people in the church. And so I had to delete the whole post.
Oh no,
I
I
just
love
had to
that
delete it
post. I love, oh,
because, and here it is, because we're talking about the past and being trapped in the past. We're about to give my parents a 60th anniversary party in a couple months. And my sisters are insistent that it involves the church. And I'm going to be with these people in the same space. I didn't want all that judgment. And this is a type of church that will literally excommunicate you if you're not in line with them.
wow, so
And I
weird.
just deleted the whole thing.
Oh,
And it has been eating me alive for 2 days. For 2 days, I've been like, why did she share it? What was her intention? And why do I feel like I can't be vocal about my own beliefs and what I've discovered and what I want to share and help people who are like me, who are looking at new things in history and archaeology and science that don't compute to the biblical language or the church language.
you absolutely, you can't ruminate. You got to stop and you have to step
That's
into the heart.
that's
Is that,
why I love this topic, because I literally just experienced it in the
yeah.
last couple days.
So, wow. Yeah, you go straight in your heart and know that you are one of the guides to the light. You can check in with your own heart and be like, am I aligned with truth? Am I aligned with love? And as hard as it may be, you have to stay in this place of, especially when you go there, I am aligned with love and I'm only here for healing and I'm releasing all the judgment. I'm releasing all the judgment to God. I'm allowing God to protect me during this. I'm allowing love to protect me. And I'm here to show you a new way. And don't take it personally. Do not take that woman's actions personally.
And this is why I feel like awakening soul truth is so important. And I feel like this is why we started this show, because it's not meant to necessarily be interviews with the top way showers or light workers and the people we follow. It's
Right.
about common everyday conversation
Yeah.
on spiritual matters concerning spiritual growth and
Mm,
how we can apply it to our lives so that we're sharing our stories. And so other people listening can apply it to their life.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you for saying that. I really needed, because it's been bothering me for 2 days. I'm like, why should I have to delete it? And why did I delete it? And why did she share it? And it's the whole like stuck in the loop, right? I haven't been Church of Christ since I was, a long, long time.
The other thing, though, it gives you a great opportunity to do that. I'm releasing the Church of Christ judgment of me from my body, and to allow to continue for you to be like, okay, there's obviously a piece there still. They don't see me. I'm not being loved. And for people who are really, really sensitive, it is about, well, dang it, why don't you love me? I'm coming from a place of love. I'm being kind. I might be different from you, but at the end of the day, my intention is loving.
Right.
And then you receive all this criticism and judgment. It's like, oh my God. I mean, it's hard to keep standing up over and over again. And that's why you just go into your heart. You
Well, and
can't,
I think this whole topic of what Anne is saying, aligning to your soul, merging with your soul, is
mm,
also difficult because we have that egoic voice that pipes up.
yeah,
How are we presented in the world? How are we being seen in the world? And that's all ego.
yeah.
Where the soul is just itself, pure in its essence.
And isn't going by the same principles in the that the ego and the physical world use. And that's why it's so foreign to us, where we're like, wait. And so I think the greatest thing, I think, especially for people who are light workers, to remember as other people are stepping into this relationship with the soul, they're going to need help allowing the ego to dissolve,
Yeah.
trusting the soul. And this woman, this lesson's there for her too. It's not to hurt you. It's she's doing it to protect herself. She's doing it to say, hey, I'm the first one in line to be right.
Yeah, and one of my sisters that's still very religious, but she also loves and respects me. I called her about it and I was like, what do you think this intention was? And she goes, I don't know. You should have messaged her and said, oh, are you interested? I'm offering recordings.
Send her
Oh,
this.
maybe I should have.
Send her this.
Yeah,
The whole idea of Jesus and Mary Magdalene together and loving women in the first place might be just what she needs to hear.
right.
Right?
Yeah,
A different perspective. Jesus as the yogi.
right.
Jesus as the yogi. Share that with her.
Yeah,
Yeah, he must have meditated to survive the shitstorm he had to move through.
had to have. Had to have.
There's no way. Because meditation is just the communing with the divine, communing with the soul, aligning with love, and that inner strength has to be there for people to carry through this physical shit show
Yeah.
of judgment and being stuck in the past. Ugh, get out of the past. Get out.
Let's take a moment to meditate together. This has already been proven, but you can experiment with it. If you're slouched over, it's hard to really focus on taking a nice deep breath in. So align your vertebrae so that your chest is open, so that your lungs have room to expand. And then just start to deepen the flow of your breath. And as you sit and breathe, you may notice other thoughts starting to fall away. And the thoughts that do come up, try not to chase them. Rather acknowledge and let them go. Notice how the breath helps to drop you into the heart, which is the place of gratitude. Even as simple as being grateful for this life, grateful for your health, and grateful for the power of the breath.
So affirming, I love who I am. I release my past and I embrace my soul right here, right now. I release my past. All of me is love right here, right now. I embrace the beauty of my soul. I am a divine spark. I am the light. With every breath, I reach in to this heart center and connect with wisdom beyond my imagination. I reach into my heart and I connect with the omnipresence of love. I am walking in truth. I am walking in grace. I am. I am. I am. Thank you for joining us.